I just found out about this. What's going on, guys? King Strats here, back with another video on the channel. And today, I took the risk and went to Little Caesars. They dropped a new food item that's called a 4-quarter calzone. I was in the middle of my workout. I had no freaking idea. And I got tagged a bunch of times. So if you did tag me, thank you. I do appreciate it because I really didn't know. So I dropped what I was doing post-workout, went and got myself the 4-quarter calzone, and in case of emergency, I got another pizza just in case. This whole order came out to like $28. You know how Little Caesars get down. And I got the stuffed cheesy bread, and they got my order right this time. If you don't know, just disclosure, my franchise, the particular branch of Little Caesars that I go to, they're not the best, and sometimes they do screw up. I do say franchises matter, so take that into consideration when you see my version versus a version that you may or may not get. But let's get into this video. We got the two crazy breads and my two sauces. We got the buffalo ranch, can't even turn this, and the cheesy jalapeno, my favorite two ones to dip in. The one on the top is the 4-quarter calzone, and this is what it looks like. Now, I didn't get a good look at this, if I'm being real, but I did look to make sure my order was right. So there you have it. Let me pop this over. Boom. Open this. I'm not editing. And give you the Little Caesars 4-quarter calzone. Now, I believe it comes with 4 different kinds of meat on here. There's bacon, sausage, pepperoni, and I think there's ham. I will double check before I actually eat it. But that is pizza number 1. I've tried to get this stuffed crazy bread at least 4 or 5 times, and it never comes out right. But I did get it this time finally. I double checked. So we do have the stuffed crazy bread, which is in here looking... They give you 3? Well, they give you more than that. But we have the stuffed crazy bread, and we do have a extra bestest, most bestest fanceroni pepper. You know what it is. It's the world fanceroni pepperoni. I did get a well done bake on all of these. I specified multiple times, so most of the time it's not cooked all the way through. This one should be, hopefully. It looks pretty good. There's the pepperoni rings on here as well, which you see right here. Let me get these situated, and I don't want to hold y'all, so power of editing, we're going to pop right into this video in 3, 2, and there you have it. Through the power of editing, we are all situated and good to go. This is the 4-quarter calzone. I did say there were 4 different types of meat on there, and I didn't specify specifically, so I'm going to give you the exact definition. I do have my receipt over here, and I will show you what this bad boy... Okay, I like that. Now, this is cut into 2, but I'm going to hold it up just like that for y'all so y'all can get in here. Ooh, that is just dripping all over your face. But it's pizza topped with 4 meats, pepperoni, bacon, ham, and Italian sausage. So I was right. It has a buttery calzone-like crust with mozzarella cheese, and what does it say? One of the meats from the center, plus crazy sauce. I don't know what the hell that means. Now, they've dropped different kinds of calzones before because they did have the Batman one, which looked like the Batman logo, which was really cool. These are usually hit or miss for me. Sometimes they are a little too greasy for my taste, but again, I think this costs like $8, $10, something like that. So I can't be too picky with it. This is well done too. With all those different kinds of proteins in here, pepperoni, bacon, ham, sausage, all of them naturally are incredibly greasy, and this is incredibly greasy. Is that a complaint? Not really. It's kind of just a statement. Where'd I put that? It's kind of just a statement. There is a dusting of Parmesan cheese on here that is notable. Let me just try this with the crazy sauce. I've never been the biggest fan of this. It just tastes very... I don't know, compared to the other places' sauces, I just feel like that is kind of bland. But Little Caesars, for me, is just one of those things that... It is what it is. It's good. This still wouldn't be my first preference, the calzone thing. Just because, again, it comes across a lot greasier than the other things. If I lifted this up you can see how much grease is under here. Like, there is a ton. But, again, for like $8, $9 or something like this, I don't like to nitpick too much. Is it something, again, that you have to go out of your way to get? No. I do like the fact that there's a lot of toppings on there, even though I did say it was greasy, because I'm a fan of, like, your meat lovers type of pizzas. And that's basically what this is. But here's the side profile. You can just see. Like, it's a box of grease, bro. But Little Caesars is kind of known for that, at least the one I go to. But when you get it going with that cheesy jalapeno, hold on now. Let me move you. And or, I prefer that Buffalo Ranch. Those two toppings, man. Some of the best in the pizza chain game. Yeah, the double dip. Yeah. Again, just to kind of summarize what I think about this. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. But value for dollar, it is there. I would still rather get a pizza, or preferably their Detroit style deep dish is still the upper echelon for me. A lot of people love the what do you call it, the extra most bestest pepperoni. I prefer their old world one, which is what this is, but it's still serviceable. I can get down with it. On a pizza chain scale, though, I would give this a 6.5 out of 10. Good, but not great. Doesn't mean I'm not gonna eat it. The drink of choice today, regular ass water. Reason being, I ran out of my refreshingly mid Diet Cola, and I was gonna go to the store today to re-up, but I wanted to make sure I got this because I'm not even joking. I found out about this about an hour ago, and I was like, okay, let me just go and get this out of the way. So I will get some soda for my videos tomorrow. I do drink a lot of water for people who do ask. I know a lot of people think I don't drink water. I drink a ton of it, but when I'm having these kind of meals, I prefer to have my diet soda. That's the only thing between the two. I do drink water though, in fact. But this is actually my first time ever that I'm gonna get to try their cheesy bread, or their stuffed crazy bread. I apologize. I have tried to order this on 3 separate occasions, and twice they didn't have any, so I had to get their regular, and once they just put regular crazy bread in here and tried to get over. So this is my first time trying it. A lot of people like this, so I'm excited to try it. Should be stuffed this time. Yes, it is. So there is the cheese on the inside, and we're gonna go in. It's actually pretty good, but I'm like extrapolating. I'm being generous when I say it's good, and here's the reason. I do like it. This is a very franchise-specific thing for me. My Little Caesars, for whatever reason, they always undercook everything. I specified multiple times that I wanted mine well done, everything. And it came out done. When I asked for mine without asking for well done, it's undercooked. So I don't know if they have an oven problem. Again, this is just mine. Franchises, like, location matters. So these just seem underdone for me, but the bread is pretty good. There's this little dusting on there of, like, the Parmesan, and then the cheese on the inside, and you pair that with this mid. Bring me back over here. I can see how people like this. That's me just kind of thinking outside the box. Mine specifically is good, but it's undercooked. I know some people do the suggestion thing. Okay, we'll just throw it in the air fryer. I don't know if it's because I'm stubborn. This is just straight up. I don't know if this is because I'm stubborn. The thought of ordering a pizza cooked and then having to cook it myself makes me not want to order the pizza in the first place. So I always try to review things because, in essence, these are reviews as is. If I was just eating this and chilling at the crib or whatever, yeah, maybe I'd probably throw it in the air fryer. But I know a lot of people live in that location and they eat at the same location, and I think it's important that you do know that they do have an issue with this kind of stuff before you order it. So just take that into consideration again. But the crazy bread for me, Pizza chain scale, I would give this same score, a 6.5 out of 10. It's good, not great, but I think that if it was cooked to the point that the bread wasn't like soggy almost, it could possibly be like a 7.5. It could probably bring it up a point. Just being real. But this one specifically, I would give it a 6.5 out of 10. And last, we do have the, I don't know why their names are so long and I screw it up every single time. I'm not looking at none. This is the Old World Fanceroni pepperoni pizza, which means it comes with double the pepperoni and it says pepperoni cups, and it's not false advertisement. They do have pepperoni cups on this. But again, I can show you my receipt. It says well done on it. It's not like they messed the order up, but it's not cooked like well done. It's just cooked. It's just done. And it just takes away from my Little Caesars, specifically mine, experience. But, see these cups right here? When I tell you I'm here for it, I am here for it. And it still hits. I know that if I went to a different location, there aren't that many around me, this would be even better than what it is. But I still find this pizza enjoyable. It's very good. This is probably the most non-greasy pizza I've eaten from there. There's not a lot of grease in the box. There's not a lot of grease in my hands compared to this. And the pepperoni cups are crispy, but everything else is not. I personally just enjoy more of a well-done bake. And they just, no matter what, it just doesn't come out at mine specifically. So, I know I'd like this a lot more than I do if I went to a different place. But even with all that, I believe this pizza's $10.99. You can't really miss. It's either $9 or $10. And to me, Little Caesars, as long as they stay to that narrative, I'm never going to have too much of an issue with them because their food is very affordable. As I said before, all this food cost me like $30. I think it was $28. And for what you're getting, that's great. So, I do take that into consideration. With this one of the better things I have to Detroit is still, for me, a W. It's one of the few pizzas there that come well done. But out of 10, I would give this an 8 out of 10. I still like it a lot. And I'm obviously giving it an 8 on a pizza chain scale before anybody says anything else. I do read the comments from time to time. And before I get out of here, I do have like something that I kind of want to talk about. You know, I like to give a little bit of conversation stuff at the end for people who are interested. Yesterday, on my Twitch stream, we got into a conversation of things that I normally don't talk about. I won't get into the details on here because I don't feel like it's important. But what I do feel is important is this. When you're having a conversation with somebody, I think it's very important to take your feelings and kind of move them to the not forefront, to the back of your mind when you're having conversations with somebody you don't agree with. What I mean by that is, I think a lot of times when people hear something that they don't like, they immediately stop listening and start attacking, yelling, or things of that nature. And you're not solving anything when you do that. So, I know in this era with the internet, people say that they're free thinkers, but in reality, you're following a narrative that a lot of people have. You're either on this side of one thing, or you're on the other side of something else, but you're never in between anything because you try not to see anyone else's point of view besides your own. So what turns out being is everybody's wrong unless they think like you. And I try not to do that, so I at least want to listen and hear somebody out and hear where they're coming from, even on topics that I find a bit like, how could you think that way? And I try my best to do that. I think, and I can't tell people how to act. Like, I'm not telling you, oh, this is what you should do. I'm just giving you where my headspace is at. Things these days like politics, religion, are extremely divisive in the point of if someone doesn't have the exact same point of view, you're just like, you're wrong, screw you, you know. I've always tried to go the opposite route. Even when I don't agree with you, I could think that what you're thinking is despicable. But if you're willing, in my head, to have a civil conversation about it. Now, I'm not talking about attacking somebody. If it gets heated to the point where you start name calling, that's not a civil conversation. A civil conversation is something where you can have a dialogue with someone you don't agree with. And there's a debate. You may get a little heated, but you're not attacking that person. You're more saying like, what that, you know, how can you think that way? Or I understand that kind of stuff because when I said move your feelings to the back, I didn't say take them out of the conversation. Taking your feelings out of something would just make you a heartless person, which I just don't agree with. But at the end of the day, we're all people. And I think a lot of times people get offended by something that it's not their point of view. So they're just angry, you know. And I don't want to single out this viewer, but yesterday I saw a comment and replied to it because the day before I was talking about how generations need to be more understanding towards each other. And I said, these days newspapers are virtually extinct. And someone told me I was wrong and said, how could you don't make generalizations? Understand that a generalization, what it means is that you're giving a broad spectrum. It doesn't mean everybody falls under that umbrella. It doesn't mean newspapers don't exist to the point that no one reads them and you're an idiot if you do. You're filling in blanks over some. The fact of the matter remains that in this era, you can look, I even put statistics up just to prove a point. Newspapers are not as common as they used to be. They are virtually, and they're going extinct even more. Doesn't mean I agree with it. It's just a fact. If you look at from 2000 to 2020, I forgot the exact statistic, but I actually looked up the number. It went and dropped almost by half of the amount of newspapers that are sold. Most people prefer to get their news virtually when you can just pick up your phone or your laptop or your tablet, etc. This way you're not dealing with paper and having to deal with, I completely understand that. But don't attack me or be upset and tell me that I'm telling you something because I'm not telling you from my point of how I feel. I'm telling you from my point of this is what it is. I don't always agree with how the world is, but me saying how the world is does not make me a bad person. You want to read newspapers? Go ahead. I don't like, that's crazy to get offended, to get that mad over something. I apologize if you're mad that I said newspapers are extinct because you read them. A lot of people don't read books anymore. Most people have things like Kindles. Most people have things like virtual books. How do I know that? If you look up the actual sales of paperback books, it is significantly less than it was in an era where places like Borders and Barnes & Noble were much more prevalent. Are there still Barnes & Nobles? Yes, I see one all the time. But there aren't as many as there used to be because they don't sell as much as they used to, especially in eras where things like Amazon have invented virtual e-reading devices or phones that you can get. A lot of people in 1980, for example, had things like encyclopedia freaking books in their house, right? Remember Encyclopedia Britannica? I used to remember in the 90s growing up, there was like this old guy and he had this commercials and infomercials like encyclopedia. And people had, I don't see that as often. Do I still see people that do read paperback? Absolutely. Do I think it's a lost art and that paperback book should never be gotten rid of? Absolutely. Doesn't mean it's not true though. So understand what I'm saying when I say that. I know that it's hard because we're not having a direct conversation, but I was always taught that, you know, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Now, if I could listen to you, I would, but I'm the one talking because I'm talking to a camera. But sometimes people just, they hear one little thing in the conversation and they're like, they stop listening completely. My entire point of that conversation was not to marginalize freaking newspapers, which is crazy. The entire point of that was that from generation to generation, how they operate as a whole changes from generation to generation, right? Millennials have a little bit of Gen X in them with a little bit of the hardcover, analog, manual things, and a little bit of Gen Z in them with the cell phones and things of that nature. But if you're Gen Z, as a child, you did not have that manual crap that we had at Harder X things. That was my entire point. If I am a Gen Alpha kid, perfect example. There's a lot of children now, like Gen Alpha and even Gen Z, that cannot write in cursive. Do I think they're stupid because they can't write in cursive? No. They just weren't taught it like we were. I rarely if ever write things down anymore. Do I? Yes. But when I talk to an older person, my parents, some of my friends' parents, etc., they don't even want to use, automatic bill pay, virtual paying online. They want to go into the place and pay their bill. I know people that still pay their power bill by going into the actual physical location and either writing a check or handing them money. But generationally, less millennials do that, and even less Gen Z, and probably no Gen Alpha. That's just the way that it goes, you know? So that's what I was trying to say. It doesn't make any generation better or worse. It's just how you operate is different. That's all I meant by it. So if you missed that point of it, I just don't think that you were listening. And I just want you to stop a second and kind of just try to hear me out before you start getting upset about something that anybody who has ever spoken to me in any capacity knows that I'm not the type of person that's going to attack anybody. I just want to hear you out. But when you start making definitive statements about someone and saying you're wrong for how you're thinking, instead of trying to figure out the why behind it, I feel like you're just going to understand people less. And I feel like it's a lost art. Again, these are opinions. They're not facts. Double check, double state that. I feel like that's a lost art with a lot of people is intrapersonal communication. People are so used to communicating on phones, through social media, inanimate objects. You know, you're talking to a phone, so it's easier to be bolder. And you forget that one of the most important things, again, to me, these are opinions at this point, is the ability to communicate with one another. I don't want to ever lose that. And I know that generationally, people feel stronger or less strong about that. I have, you know, younger people in my family that are teenagers that they rarely go outside. You know, I remember during 2020 when they were chilling and 2020 kind of ended, you could go back outside and they still weren't. I was like, me as a 90s kid, I'm going, you don't want to go out there? You don't hang out with your friends? You like, my friends are all online. And I was kind of like, that's crazy. That's my first thought. I was like, that's crazy in the sense of like all your friends are online. So it's like virtual. You ain't even got to get up. But as a child, for me, we used a little bit of a hybrid where we had instant messaging, MSN and AIM and that stuff. And we would message our friends and be like, yo, let's all meet up here. And then we would get out and go. So we were like in between the gap. And I'm going to guess in the 80s, you probably might have called them up. If not, you might have just showed up at the crib. You know, when in the 70s, you might have just showed up. You know, we got the street light generation. I get it. But I don't think Gen X is better. I don't think Gen Z is better. I just think we're all people. And we got to just understand that. We all tend to do generational stuff based off the technology we were given. I doubt that a person that was born in 1970 as a 12-year-old in 1982, if you had access to an iPhone, and the online stuff, you would use it too. You can't say because you weren't presented with it, but most people would have used it. It makes your life a little easier with certain things. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to say that. I hope that at the end of the day, we're all just trying to be good people. You know, we may not all see the same eye to eye with certain subjects, but I hope at the end of the day, we're all not discriminating towards anybody, marginalizing anybody, and just trying to understand each other. I'm not Mr. Kumbaya, but everybody that's watching this, myself included, anybody, we're all people at the end of the day. We're all human beings. We're all trying to find our way in this world. And I think people just forget that because we're so caught up on one thing or the other, you know? As long as you don't wish ill will or harm towards anybody, like you don't have bad intentions towards other humans, I'm willing to hear you out. Even if I don't agree with you, I'm at least willing to hear you out and talk to you like a person. And I hope that we don't ever lose that. That was my whole point. I know I went on a long little rant, but it got kind of like, not heated yesterday. It got like serious. You know what I mean? Because I want everybody to love each other, bro. Not like, you don't have to like everybody, but you got to treat everybody with respect at the end of the day. Let's not ever lose that, man. I love y'all. I mean that. We're all humans. Everybody watching this got their own problems, got their own stuff they're going through. And we don't want to make each other's lives worse. You know, at least I don't. I never want to make anybody's life worse. But that's the end of the video, man. The food it's just Little Caesars, bro. It's all right. But I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. I really mean that. I know some people watch this and see my videos and may think that, you know, you might just click on my shit and be like, yo, I don't like this guy. It's cool. Like, I don't expect you to. But at the end of the day, I'm always trying to be a good person. First and foremost, before anything, I want to be a good man. I want to be a good person. Before anything. At the end of the day, that's important to me. So if you don't like me because of something, maybe you don't like the way I look, maybe you don't like fucking nail, I don't give a shit. That's cool. But I'm always going to try to be a good character at the end of the day. And I hope that everybody has the same kind of intentions in the world. So that's going to end the video, man. That was a TED Talk. That was crazy. But we'll be back tomorrow. More content, man. I love y'all. The hand signs. They made it to YouTube.